Welcome back to Addicted to Recovery, the podcast bringing you the truth about addiction. I am Christopher White. I'm joined by my dear friend, co-host and fellow recovering addict, Max Thomas. How are you today, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, Chris. How are you, mate?
Very well, mate. Very well.
Good day?
Sorry, sip of coffee. I've had a great day.
Yeah?
Mate, another day clean is a good day for me. We've got a very special guest in the studio today.
We have.
Who we
Very
got?
dear to my heart, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Who we got with us?
We've got Greg, my dear friend Greg, actually, and we've bonded since we've come in, mate, haven't we, really?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's when we were thinking about the guest that we wanted to come on, I said, I know someone who can talk for England, so,
Yeah.
here you are, mate.
Well, he's famous saying he could talk a cat off a bowl of tuna.
That's it. How are we, mate? All right?
I'm very good, thank you, Max. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for coming along. It's my first time on a podcast, so I'm quite excited to kind of see how we roll, see what comes out.
You'll be a natural, mate.
Yeah.
You'll be an absolute natural. Well, look, what we normally like to do with our guests is just tell us a bit about your story. We'll jump in when we identify with what you're saying, or we've got our own little take on it, and it'll just flow, mate. So over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm a addict in recovery. I found drug use at an early age. I hear a lot in recovery about born with, nurtured into, wrong decisions, wrong crowds, wrong friend group, whatever it might be. And,
Yeah.
you know, my take on it, I think we're all born innocent, you know, and somewhere along the line, I can only talk from my own experience, I weren't too well adjusted to life.
Yeah.
I'm one of five, I'm the youngest of five, and none of my siblings suffer with what I suffer with. We all had the same upbringing, same parenting, same schooling,
Yeah.
all had the same financial barriers in growing up, whatever it was. We was okay, we had a really good lifestyle.
You just wired a bit different.
Something happened somewhere along the line. I was wild. I was really, really wild. I was hard to parent. When I look back at it, I'm a parent now. I have young children and a teenager. And when I look back at my story, I was hard to parent.
Yeah.
I look back at my story and think of my parent, think,
What sort of kid? Just mad, attention seeking? What?
all of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. I knew from an early age that I was petrified of you guys.
Yeah.
Whoever you was,
Yeah.
I was petrified of you.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't
can
know
relate.
that.
Yeah. Uncomfortable in your own skin?
You wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
What I was the guy that would climb the tallest tree. I'd kick the ball the furthest. I'd run the fastest. I'd try and kiss the prettiest girl. I'd try and be the centre of attention, get in trouble all the time. I was always getting expelled or suspended. Or it started off being in trouble with my parents, and I was in trouble with teachers, and I was in trouble with the police, and I was in trouble with judges, and then employers, employees, girlfriends, wives. Always in trouble. Always in trouble. And it kind of snowballed as I got older. You know what I mean? Not knowing what I suffered from. I didn't know, there's no way you could have sat me down in my teens, maybe even early 20s, give me some of this information and I would have took it on board.
Yeah.
I was just so far detached from reality where it was kind of, I was tunnel visioned into I needed to change the way I felt and I didn't even know it.
No.
I didn't know I was uncomfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, cool.
When I hear them words today, it's like, yeah, I get it.
Well, of course, yeah. And look, this is it. We look back on these things and it's so easy to see now. At the time, you're just like, what is this? I remember I used to go to my mum and I used to say to her, I feel lonely. And she'd be like, oh, darling, come here. Give me a big cuddle. It weren't lonely. I don't know what I felt. I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. And the only word I could put on it, the only feeling I could associate with it, I was like, I just feel lonely.
Yeah, I relate, man.
And she'd go, come here, and just like wrap me up.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just felt different. Exactly that stuff you're talking about.
I'm with you. I'd more identify, I don't think I would have been able to pinpoint myself as loneliness, but different, 100%.
Yeah.
Every other child, every one of my peers had something different to me. You could do it easier. You could talk to her easier.
Yeah.
You could do homework easier. You could go to work easier. You could pay your bills. Always looking out thinking, how comes you do it so easy?
Comparing your insides to other people's outsides.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And I still can do today. It's not like it's got completely gone away. I found ways of keeping it at bay through the process of recovery, but it's still there. It's an underlying issue where it still pops up every now and then. It can still separate me from people. But along the way, I found recovery early. This April, I would have been coming to recovery for 20 years. So the wheels fell off when I was early. You know what I mean? Early in my using days. I'd been using from I'd say daily from the age of 14, 15, and, you know, talking amphetamines, pills if I could get hold of them. If you knock around with the bigger boys, maybe a bit of coke, a bit of weed, whatever it was, alcohol was readily available, all that kind of stuff. And it was a badge of honour. Any time I did it, it was like, guess what I got up to? Guess what we did? It was chaos, it was drama, all that kind of stuff. And by the time I'd got to the age of 18, I was a plasterer by trade. I'd been taught by another addict, funny enough. We didn't know we was both addicts.
My guy.
Yeah, your guy.
Yeah. Mine and Max's sponsor, for a bit of context.
Yeah. So I was best friends with his brother growing up.
Okay.
And I bumped into your guy.
Yeah.
I won't mention by name, but I bumped into your guy. And we was on Wickford Avenue, and I had these bright blue eyes. I was with my girlfriend at the time, my little crew where we used to roll around. We were smoking weed at Pitsy Market stalls. And he's like, do you want a couple of weeks' work, £40 a day in your hand? I was like, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
Been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
Almost, what are we at? 20 years later, 30, 25 years later, still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we forged a great relationship. We've been through the trials and tribulations, what life has to offer, getting clean, travelling the world, you know what I mean, forging that true friendship and stuff like that. And I love that man to bits. You know, I was with him yesterday, spoke to him today, all that kind of stuff. We've forged a really good friendship. They're rare on this planet to forge a true friendship that you can maintain and make flourish over a period of decades.
Especially like you was talking all through that madness as well.
Yeah.
That is a rare thing. It's precious.
Hard. And by the age of 20, so when it got real is when I got my first house. So I moved out of my parents' house, and I'd only moved a couple of blocks away. Didn't want to go too far from the apron street.
Yeah, come on.
Needed my mummy and dad. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And
I'm still there now. I'm like 2 streets away.
Yeah, I moved. I was four houses away at one point. I've actually moved half a mile away, and I'm feeling very, very vulnerable at the moment.
Oh, that's fucking mad, aren't we?
Yeah. We all know where our protection blankets are.
Yeah. So you got your
not
gaff.
everyone's got that, but I was blessed to have that. You know what I mean? And then protective parents and encouraging parents and the ones that have stood behind me through it all.
Yeah, me too.
Even at times when they should have walked away.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm grateful for it. But yeah, kind of responsibility kicked in, and I had no idea how to manage money. I had no idea how to manage a missus of responsibility. What I was good at is going to work. I was good at earning £1 note. Couldn't keep it. I could make it look like I had money, but I never did. It was champagne life on lemonade money. I'd make it look like I had the lifestyle, but really someone was chasing me. A bailiff was knocking. The parents were getting, oh, mum, dad, can you pay my rent? Or whatever it might be. It was all a fantasy. None of it was real. And the wheels fell off quick, you know what I mean? Because you can't maintain that kind of lifestyle.
No, it's not sustainable.
And I remember turning around. I was laying in bed with, at the time, my wife-to-be, and I went, I don't think and I didn't know I was an addict. I don't think I would have even said them words, but it was along the lines of, I don't think I'm using for fun anymore. I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Just couldn't stop.
Early 20s.
Early 20s. I'm talking 2021. Because on my 22nd birthday, it's the only time I can remember from the age of 13 to the age of the first time remembering is I need to stop. And I tried to stop 2 weeks before my 22nd birthday. And the reason I know it is because my mum went, if you stay stopped, I'll quit smoking. And my mum's quit smoking ever since.
Because she really?
Yeah.
God, it's early, Greg, at 22 to know you've got a proper problem there.
So I was sleeping in a deserted graveyard in a church in the hill in Pitsy under a log. And I stayed there for 6 months whilst we had 301 acres of land, 102 horses. We got to live there for free, pay no bills. By this point, we'd moved out of that house that was unmanageable. My missus was managing this horse sanctuary, so we got to live there for nothing. And they paid her good money for us to stay, which I spent a lot of. And I used to sit on this hill at this graveyard watching my house. 6 months of my life in my early 20s.
Wow.
And I went insane. Anyone that dances with stimulants for too long knows that pain of sitting in the dark, quiet, graveyard, log. Yeah, I mean, scary stuff.
Off key.
And you would think that would be enough for a person to go, all right, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It took me another 20 years to stop. In and out of recovery, minimal clean time, rebuild relationships, destroy them again. The stories that go with it, you know, so I did end up marrying. I had a period of clean time, my first attempt at recovery. And I was doing loads of meetings, all different fellowships. I knew I needed to stop, couldn't stop, but my head was so loud and so fast. I couldn't really digest the information he was telling me. I could make myself sound, I think, pretty well with a conversation with you, but my actions were speaking very, very different.
Yeah,
That must
relate.
have been hard, Greg.
Very, very different.
Getting that early on, because we talk about, Chris, like when we realised we had a problem, say, for me, it was early 30s, my world got really fucking small because I started to tell my missus, I think I'm an addict, or I told my parents, I think I've got a problem with alcohol and drugs. And then you continue to use with that knowledge and your world gets really small.
Yeah.
So knowing that and going to meetings at 22 and then using for another, wowzers, that must have been
every
some
word out of my
experience.
mouth was a lie.
Yeah.
Every word.
Yeah.
No matter where I was going, what I was doing, how much money I had, how much money I've earned, whether I've been to work, whether I'd paid a bill, whether I was driving legally or not, whatever I said to my pet. It was always either covering a lie or starting a new one.
We was just
trying
talking to the
cover my
previous
tracks.
guest. I was saying the same thing. Layers and layers and layers of lies. Painful. That's the word that come up.
Painful
Exhausting.
existence. And knowing it.
Yeah.
Knowing it. You know, there was no... The delusional part was that I could still maintain that lifestyle, the high life that I wasn't living, and suffer the consequences of the emotional pain. I couldn't. That's where my true insanity lies. When I believe that I can behave that way with you guys, I can go off and do anything. I can be with her, lie to him, cheat them, manipulate them, and do it. I can't.
No.
My vessel was full early.
So at this point, it was party drugs?
No, by this point, it was crack and heroin.
Was it really?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
daily use, 24-hour use.
How did that, talk us through that. Let's go back a little bit. How did that progress?
So the party days lasted up until about 20. And that was cocaine, it was ecstasy, it was marijuana, it was as much alcohol as I could drink. Alcohol would let me become Romeo, who I thought I wanted to be when I wanted to chat to women. Cocaine, ecstasy and weed would give me fellowship that I craved. You know, them 3 a.m. smoky kitchens, solving the rhythm of the universe, making great ideas that were never going to happen. Even sharing some of my, maybe my emotional stuff that I wouldn't share clean and sober. I would share it, but we'd never talk it about again.
Of course, it doesn't count in the morning.
No, it doesn't count.
I used to say, forget that conversation last night,
I was having that.
You give
Forget
your mate
all
a little
that.
pat on the chest the next day. That kind of, maybe even shed a tear every now and then, knowing when things were getting really weird, when she had left me again, or the job was in tatters, or whatever it was. And the party years were good. You know what I mean? It stopped the day I turned around in that bed and said to my missus, I think I've got a problem.
Yeah, of course.
That's the day it stopped, because everything had to be a lie. Even to the people I used.
Using.
I might have a little go on the weekend. No, I'm using. Turning up in the morning, eyes rolling in the back of your head, so tired, can't drive, can't work, having to do a day's go. No, I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah.
Is your walk right?
That's
No, I'm
my
all right.
experience.
Deflect, start a joke, talk about a bit of banter, kind of make a plan that ain't going to happen, whatever it might be.
Got a
just
bit of a
deflect,
cold.
deflect. Yeah.
I had a cold for 15 years.
Yeah. And then when it hit them early 20s, there was no more hiding it. I looked like what I was. You know, there was no hiding it. I couldn't. There weren't no. My parents knew. You know, my anyone around me knew. I'm quite a charismatic, well-known person. If I do say so myself, I've learned a bit about myself. If I'm in a room, you know I'm in a room. You know what I mean? I'm quite friendly. I'm easily approachable. I can strike up conversations with people, and that was kind of drifting away.
Right.
I was becoming that empty shell of just because when I pick too much. Drugs have the opposite effect on me, which is kind of weird, but I've met plenty of people that it has the same effect on. You give me cocaine, it subdues me. It recluses me away from you guys. It does not stimulate me into the party. You give me a suppressant like heroin, opioids or opiates, it livens me up.
Does it?
So I had to start mixing them. Once the party drugs stopped working for me, when the paranoia and the psychosis was getting too strong, I had to find a balance of...
Where was that point, though, where you
cocktail.
picked up? Can you remember that time to go from, I call that hard drugs, I know cocaine, I took it for years, it's hard, but...
I can, I can.
You
So
can.
from the age of just before my 18th birthday, I started picking up an ounce of cocaine every Thursday night.
Yeah.
By this point, I was earning okay. I was doing 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
Whether I was shit-faced or not, I'd still just turn up and kind of try and earn the money.
It can when you're young.
And it was... I don't really want to classify myself as a drug dealer because it was just to fund my habit.
Yeah.
So I'd get a lump, share it between my mates, pay for mine.
Yeah.
That point stopped, and I started getting larger and larger and larger amounts. And I'd been dabbling in crack since I was like 15, but on and off. See, in the back of my head, I knew it was bad. I knew crack was a bad idea. I knew heroin was a bad idea. In the back of my head, it was like, touch it, but don't get a relationship with it. And I got in a lot of trouble. I picked up a very large amount of cocaine. There was guns involved. There was threats involved. There was threats of houses being burned down. It scared me.
Yeah.
It scared me. Probably the first time in my life I was scared for my family's safety and my safety and stuff like that. It was quite a dramatic story. And And my addict head thought, you know what you do? You only do 100 quid's worth of crack when you smoke it at the end of a night of sniffing cocaine and buying drugs and stuff. So the only sane equation in my mind was, you better start smoking crack.
Oh, yeah, great idea.
There you go. Great idea.
Yeah.
And that relationship started. And when you enter that world, it is, so I've formed the opinion and out of my experience of talking to people, there is many levels of drug addiction. There's only one disease of addiction.
100%.
And you can go to different levels. And I went down to street level using. We would do absolutely anything. I went from the point of being able to earn money, to still put a brave face on it, to nicking bacon and cheese out of supermarkets, running out of boots with handfuls of fucking perfumes, knocking around with the homeless people. I couldn't bring myself to beg. So what I would do is I'd drive around with no licence, no MOT, no insurance, police after me, picking up all the homeless. Every time they got a certain amount of money, going to school, and that was my routine for a long time. For a long, long time. And, ways and means to get more. Yeah. And I would sufficiently use 24 hours a day. I was without, what I realised is when I was going to work, all my using pals in that world were using all day. And I'm at work grafting my nuts off. I ain't getting no benefit from going to work. All my money's only going one place, normally on tick. You know what I mean? Because I've come home from work and I've gone straight there, as you do, kind of need a little bit in. By the time Friday came, I was paying people out just to get tick again.
Yeah, and then you got to be up in the morning. It doesn't make sense.
Another sane idea, stop going to work. Just use all day. You know what I mean? And I had years of in and out. The barriers of letting, the good days were way behind me by this point. It was all kind of dirty fingernails, not showering every day, kind of going into that, trying to form new relationships with new women, someone that might save me.
I was going to say, where's your home life then? Back then,
unmanageable.
Yeah.
That's the best word I could put with it now. So I've always been keen to have a saviour.
Yep.
I've always needed that comfort blanket of a female, and I'll be honest with you, I've never been with a bad woman. I haven't. I've never had a relationship with a bad woman. The problem in every single relationship I've ever got into, I was in it.
Yeah.
It is. It's fact. I'm good friends with every ex I've got in my life. Every ex, I still bump into them. One message a year, how's your kids? You doing all right? Oh, great. It's nice to see you on Facebook, whatever it might be. It's just they couldn't put up with me anymore. And I don't blame them. They put up with me for way too long. Yeah. So my home life, so what I'll do is I'd get with women. I'll go back to, so when I was getting married, in my first bulk of recovery, so, and my missus hated me. I'd cheated, I'd lied, I'd manipulated, I'd stole. That I'm not personally physically abusive, but mentally and emotionally. I will blame you until you think it's your fault.
Yeah, we spoke about that on it before.
Painful.
Done it a lot.
Knowing you're doing it, when you walk out and you've got that kind of elbows tucked into your stomach feeling where you're like,
and you somehow twisted it.
Twisted it again. And the only way I can deal with that pain, use again.
Yeah, of course.
Then I can do it. And so I'd formed this great egotistical idea to marry this woman. And we'd been on and off since we was 11, childhood sweethearts, big lavish wedding, 13 ushers, 10 bridesmaids, God knows how many limos and roses, and the whole kit and caboodle, real nice event, all kind of look at me, couldn't afford it, borrowing money, really unmanageable. Week before the wedding, she goes to me, Greg, I fucking hate you. Don't want to marry you. I literally despise you. I've gone, all right, I'll show you. Walked out that door. She phones me 13 hours later. Why is your phone making a funny noise? Well, you said you didn't want to marry me. I'm in North Africa. What do you mean you're in North Africa? I went, beep. Yeah. 3 days later, I come out of blackout. I've been rolling around in a Mercedes with a hole in the bottom. Apparently, I'd paid this guy to stay with me. I booked a week over there. I only managed 3 days, got 2. But I'll come out of one blackout. I'm playing bowls with a couple in a hotel. I've got no idea where it is. From what I can make out, I'd convinced them that I was over there buying land to build hotels. I was some sort of property developer, just bullshit flowing out of me.
Yeah.
And I come out of blackout, I've got some, I don't know, he must have only been 16, 17, 18 years old scoring for me. Then I come around in the gap, it's like, I've got to go home. I went home and got married a few days later. And I'd done the inventory because I was in recovery at this point. I was secretary of a meeting. I've just used.
Oh, really?
I'm sponsoring people.
Yeah.
I'm attending 6 meetings a week. I'm praying. I'm meditating. I'm going to conventions. I'm going to Europe to go to conventions to meet people that have got like 30 years clean time, to kind of try and gather some experience or information that might propel me forward in my recovery. I thought in my behaviours hadn't changed.
Right.
My actions of getting there and trying to figure out what you guys meant might have changed, but my actions hadn't changed. The way I was talking to people, the way I was interacting with you hadn't changed. And of course, that marriage lasted as long as the honeymoon. 2 days before the end of the honeymoon, she said, look, and I agreed, and I said, okay. Wedding was over. We landed. We had egg on my face. I had to go to the family and say, look, we've split up. I walked away with a carrier bag. I was broken to a point of brokenness. But whenever you asked me about it, I went, yeah, rock and roll lifestyle. You know, I'm like,
of course.
mal bravado to its max. I'm all right.
It's fear, right?
I left her. You know, I mean, all that, you know, just kind of, and it hurt. It hurt for years.
Yeah,
it hurt for years. And I got, after,
around that.
I've done a lot of inventory around it. I've done a lot of work around it. And it still hurts today. Funny enough, I've just had a conversation with her, my ex-wife, because I needed my decree absolute. I'm getting married again.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully better this time around.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure
2
it will.
weeks.
It's, I've left a very big gap. You know what I mean? I've left a very big gap. And yeah, we're good friends. We're good friends. She's got children. She's happily married. And I wish the best for her. Like I do anyone I've been with. Anyone I've spent time with in my life, I wish them the best. And what happened after that is I kind of got into a relationship with a girl who absolutely adored me way too much.
Yeah, we like them ones.
We attract them. We look for them.
Yeah, of course.
Let's be honest about that. I want you to pit up with me.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I don't want you to change me. I mean, I don't really want you to say. I want you to pit up with me.
I had one of them for a long time.
Let me do what I'm going to do, and I'd disappear for months at a time. I'd disappear for weeks at a time, and in the end, we was living together, and I broke it off and made her move out of a flat that I couldn't pay the bills for. You know, just real unmanageable, painful kind of.
Man.
The self-sabotage that runs through my life in every area of relationships, work opportunities, being successful, buying anything. If I bought something, I lost it. If I bought something nice, I sold it. Whatever it was, the self-sabotage all the time. Just couldn't seem to put them habits down.
So I'm assuming the drug of choice, once you picked up the crack and heroin, you continue with that. You didn't go back down, or...
I still used a variety of.
You did you?
I still use a variety of, but my main substances for this addict was crack and heroin.
Did you start thinking, oh, as long as I'm not doing that, this is okay?
So I'd have periods of putting the heroin down and getting on methadone, getting on scripts, mouthfuls of medication. I even had periods where I could drink myself out of drug use. You know what I mean? Because alcohol wasn't my primary substance, but it caused me a lot of trouble. Me drunk is
that a lot.
I'm not a nice character.
No.
I'm not a nice character when I'm drunk. I'm all over your sister, your nan, your missus. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to. And I can honestly say, with years of recovery behind me, even looking back at that now, I never meant to.
No.
Couldn't stop myself.
Yeah.
I needed that feel-good factor of someone changing the way I felt if the substance weren't working.
No, I used a lot of people as well.
Yeah, painful line of existence, and it was what I've spoken about. You know, it's just car crash after car crash after car crash,
insanity,
after
right?
Car crash, absolutely insanity.
Same stuff.
Yeah, and it all come to a head. 1st of May. So fast forward, I've built some successful businesses, lost them. I've built my prestige back, lost them. I've built people's trust back, broken it. I built up relationships, they left. I got driver's licenses, lost them. Bought car, everything I ever got, just lost them. And I'd kind of reeled up enough strength to give it one more go. And I don't know if you know about that one more. I'm sure you do. I can do this. Watch me go. On self, you know what I mean?
What going to try and control you using?
So with me, controlled using is loads of medication with the odd bit of gear. You know what I mean? But stay focused. Whatever you do, stay focused. Yeah. And I could do it for short periods. And this is the thing that kept me sick for a long period of time. I had this belief deep down that I could swing this around. And the 1st of May, 2017, I'd done it again. Fucked it. I'd ruined it. I'd spent the business's money. People were chasing me. I'd walked into, about a week before the 1st of May, 2017, I took on some large projects with schools with a very prominent company, building company, great opportunities, success on the horizon, telling everyone about it. Guess what I've got that I haven't actually got yet, that kind of stuff. Really building myself up. Gone to a really important meeting, couldn't stop using.
Right.
Really important meeting. I've walked in, I'm in this toilet for about 2 hours, secretary knocking on the door going, Craig, they're in the ballroom. You're ready to have this meeting, and it would have been very financially beneficial for me and my life and everything. No, I'll be there in a minute. Couldn't stop using. I walked into this ballroom. You got 5 people. I couldn't tell you his name. I could tell you the colour of his eyes. And he was a director of the company, and he looked straight in my eyes. He looked at me deep into my soul.
Oh no!
I ain't doing business with you.
Yeah.
And I just left everything I had there, bolted out of the door. Knew game was up. You know what I mean? Was driving illegally in some van that I borrowed off someone, pulled up into a McDonald's that I got a ticket in. And that was the end of it for me.
I can really feel that moment.
That idea of you can do this was gone. You know what I mean? That guy saw into me.
Yeah.
He got me. And
Look, you were talking about that look. You get them looks, and when they know. Yeah.
He knew. He could see. I'd be making up if I knew how old I was, but I'd say 3 or 4 days old. You know, like when your eyes are in the back of your head, you're sweating, you've got that kind of pale look about you, you're going grey, all that kind of stuff.
And that's like part of that insanity, right? All you've got to do is make it to that meeting.
Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah.
It's powerless, isn't it?
Physically clean. Get yourself in the shower. Get some sleep the night before. Show up. You've got the job. Couldn't do it. And the amount of times I've had situations like that, I've mentioned it on him before, like really good job. All I got to do is just show up. And I'm guaranteed success.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can't show up.
I'd always fuck it as well. If I had something big the next day, I don't know about you boys, but I would, like, we could be doing anything. My missus would say to me, well, why are you going out tonight? Because we've got this. And she'd know what the end result would be. And I'd be like, no, I'm all good. No, I'm only going out for a few beers.
I'll be excited about tomorrow, so I've got to go out tonight.
It's John's birthday. You know John? Yeah, John. And it's like...
I don't know John.
And then it would just be 2 days later, and it just awfulness, and it was just that powerlessness was right there. But I knew in my gut, I knew what was going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Convincing myself that today would be different, and just that powerlessness comes over you, and then you're back on that insanity wheel, and it's like fucking painful stuff, man.
Yeah. So look, both of us really felt that situation. So you've walked out of that meeting. What then?
A feeling had kind of overwhelmed me that hadn't really overwhelmed me before, where I was caught. You know what I mean? There was no more money I could borrow. There was no more angles I wanted to take. I couldn't, for the first time in my life, I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. Whereas I didn't know, there was no more grand schemes or grand ideas, or I'd ruined it to the max. Like anyone that knew me knew what I'd just done. You know what I mean? It was over, and it was kind of like, it was painful. So I hid. So I just went and hid for like a week, there was a bit of money left in the account. It was people's wages. I was just frivolously spending it. It weren't even my money. They're chasing me. Phone won't stop ringing. I don't know about you, but I become allergic to my phone when I'm using it.
It's terrible.
But I have to watch it ring. You know what I mean? Like, eyes on it.
Checking
WhatsApp. Is there a tick? Is there a blue tick? Is there a green tick? Is there a blue tick? You know what I mean? All that behaviour. Oh, drive yourself nuts with it. And for the first time in my life, I'd thought about suicide before this point. I'd thought about taking my own life. I'd thought about, you guys are better off without me. By this point as well, I'd started a relationship, and I've got a stepdaughter in my life who I love dearly. She was teaching me a lot about myself. She came into my life when she was 6. And,
great age.
And it kind of gave me some kind of stability, but I'm still too if my children were enough to keep me clean, I'd just be a good dad.
Yeah, totally.
It's not the fact, unfortunately. I might get into a bit more of that a little bit later on, but so by this point I wasn't allowed in the house, wasn't allowed anywhere near them. She knew what I was up to, you know, stay away from the kids, stay away from me, all that kind of stuff. And it was a really warm blue sky, sunny morning. I walked out of a crack den in Langdon, and I'd walked to Basildon, and there's a 7-story, multi-story car park that I'd walked up the twirly, wordy bit that you go to the top. It's right in front of Basildon Police Station, and I stood there for, God, I don't know, I'm feeling this now. I don't know, an hour. I don't know, maybe an hour. I don't know. I'd be making it up if I told you the time. And they overwhelmed, go to your mum and dad. Go to your mum and dad. They live 4 miles from there. I walked 4 miles. This is like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, back down the spiral.
Knocked on the door. You know what I mean? Back down, head down, not knowing what to do, crying a lot of this time, like in absolute bits. Don't know what to do. My head's banging, absolutely banging. Knock on my mum and dad's door. They're like, what's the matter? Well, they can see I'm in floods of tears. I sit on their sofa. I can't say a word for like 20 minutes. Catches up. You know what I mean?
Of course, mate.
And They knew that I was a party boy. They knew I took drugs. They knew about crack. They knew about my promiscuous ways. They knew that I was a bit of this and a bit of that, but they didn't know about heroin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had my back to them. I couldn't say it to them looking at them. I said, I can't stop taking heroin and crack. I'm dying. And I just tried to kill myself. Oh,
Take a second, mate.
yeah. It's the reason why that upsets me now is I'm a parent, and having your children come to you and say that.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Hard.
Yeah.
You know, man, I've got empathy for that stuff today, and empathy for that sick man that walked in there and needed to say that to his parents. And
Yeah, of course.
I hope, God forbid it doesn't happen. But if my children are ever in need, they come to me.
Yeah.
I mean, like I did to my parents. And my dad said, right, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Straight to the point. What do you need from us? What did we do? It was a bank holiday Monday. He started phoning around treatment centres. He drove me to Vange meeting.
Yeah.
We regularly attend on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Sorry, on the bank holiday, but it was shut bank holiday Monday.
Yeah.
And he drove me back home. He said, right, treatment centre. I said, oh, I've heard about them. I don't know much about them, but okay. Well, I was broke. I was like, yeah. Okay. So he's booked me into this treatment centre, and he's gone, right, you got any clothes? I was like, no, Tracy hates me. I'm not allowed in the house. He went, right, we're going to go to Tesco's before it shuts, get you some stuff. We're going to get over to this treatment centre. We booked you in for 28 days. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever it takes. They've, unbeknownst to me, I'm still using. I've just gone to them and I've begged for help. I'm still using in their toilet. You know,
Yeah.
I'm outside smoking in the garden. By this point, the drugs ain't having any effect. I'm way past it affecting me cognitively or mentally. I'm just kind of drained. I'm just drained from the whole
Zombie mode.
If I'd have to say, it was probably the worst day of my life.
Yeah, mate.
And it got a bit worse. It got a little bit worse because my mum and dad went to, and this is where it gets really crazy. It's a bit of a crazy story. So I'm in the garden smoking a fan. They phoned Tracy up and said, come watch him. Make sure he doesn't run off while we go get him some clothes and some slippers and some pants and some T-shirts. And she went, well, I've thrown all this stuff away, so you're going to have to go get him some stuff. You know what I mean? I was off the house, didn't have a key, all that kind of stuff. And I'm in the back garden. Tracy's turned up. And she's gone, where are you? I'm out back, smoking a fag. And some screaming starts happening. And it's a mum with a baby in her arms. My house is on fire. My children are trapped.
Fuck.
I'm like, Tracy's like, what are you doing? I've jumped 3 fences. Don't forget, I'm in a bad way. You know, man. Straight in there, smashing windows with my fists, gone in this house. Darkest thing you've ever seen in your life. Flames blowing my hat off. Took my top off, tied it around my face. Got one child out. He's on like a lump of charcoal. Gone back in, can't get the second child out. Gone back in, can't get the second child out. Gone back in, can't get the second. Gone in until I've gone over. Can't. It's kind of. But long story short, both children are out on the pavement. Tracy's standing there screaming. This ordeal went on for 20 minutes before the fire brigade got there. I'm laying on the floor next to them. They look like lumps of charcoal, badly burnt, houses in flames, fire engines going. There's 100 people outside this property by now. It's only 2 doors down from my mum's. And I just walked back into the house, brought the mum and her child that she had in her arms into my mum and dad's house. You can imagine my mum and dad have come back after some of the worst news they've ever received to find me pitch black, singed hair.
Oh my God.
And they're going, what have you done? All I could do was go into the back garden, just look into the pond and cry my eyes out again. And what by the end of that, and this is quite mad how this happens, within the space of a couple of hours, the press had my mum and dad's house number. Every TV place was knocking. They was messaging me. Where they get this information, I don't know. I gave one interview on the BBC.
All that you know.
All that man. What I was petrified
Jesus
of
Christ.
Crackhead saves
What
baby.
a day.
That's all I could think of a headline. I get to the treatment centre. I'm on the 6 o'clock news.
Fuck
you know what I mean? People
Hell, mate, what a day.
Is that
You've had
you?
a day?
You've had a day, mate.
But you know what? I've done a bit of work around it. I've shared it quite a lot. I don't talk about it too often.
I've never heard it.
It affects me emotionally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's children involved. I've got young children. I can envision it, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. There's a bit of trauma attached to that kind of stuff, as you can imagine. But through the course of recovery, you kind of look at stuff, and so the only day of my life I actually tried to kill myself. Probably done the best thing I've ever done in my life.
And the kids were okay?
No.
They weren't?
The one that got out lived, the one that didn't died.
Oh, really?
I
Fucking
found
hell.
out the 9th day that I was in treatment. They
Jesus.
saved him. They airlifted him.
But you saved the kid.
I played a part.
Yeah.
I played a part. The fire brigade and the emergency services saved him, but I played a part. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told if I wasn't there.
It was a good job you went in there, mate.
But so the message in that, which I do like to carry when I do share it, is don't give up on an addict.
Yeah, man.
There's some good in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Look, we
give
talk
up on
about it
that.
all the time.
The worst day of
all the
my
time.
life that I tried to kill myself, I had enough left in me to save another life or be part of it.
Yeah.
So it's from that point on, you can imagine I was really infused to get clean and stay clean. Really infused to get clean and stay clean. And my missus took me back. My missus, so I got out of treatment. I completed the 28 days. And this is in 2017. And I was hell-bent on staying clean. Anything it took. Not going back to work. I'm going back to college. I'm going to study this stuff. Need a sponsor. Any step work. Any recovery. Any fellowship. Whatever it takes.
Willing.
Wherever I need to go. You tell me what to do and I'll do it. You know what I mean? It scared me. I scared myself. I scared myself at the top of that multi-story car park. The experience I had with the fire, going into treatment, being on the news. It was visible to everyone what I was like. I was a shadow of a man I am today. I was probably 10.5 stone if I was lucky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone around me knew what I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a turning point, and it wasn't enough to keep me clean. Can you believe it?
Mad.
Weren't enough to keep me clean.
Yeah.
As you guys know.
Yeah. I reckon I came into your life around this sort of.
You guys
time,
knew me
And this
when
is
I
exactly what I
relapsed.
was thinking. One of the first meetings I ever went to was Honeypot Lane, Basildon Wednesday, and you were sharing, and you picked up a keyring, quite a substantial keyring, maybe 18 months.
Probably 18 months or 2 years.
I think it was the 18-month keyring you picked up, and I was like, oh, this guy's got it. And then, like you just said, it wasn't enough. You went back out, because I was bouncing in and out at that time. It was like my early first meetings I went to. And I remember going to the Friday night meeting when it was over in Langdon, and I was there. I'd been using that day, and you were there, but you weren't speaking, but you was at the meeting. And I remember talking to you after. He was like, still out there, mate. Still out there in the madness.
It broke my heart.
But you was at the meeting. Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. And I was like, no, he had it.
So you know the mask we was talking about?
Yeah.
I mistook and presented to you confidence, not competence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I kind of went down that route as if you thought I was well, then I should be well.
Yeah. When I rocked up, what's that, nearly 5 years ago now, you were Mr. Fellowship. You were taking a meeting in Basildon, and I was like, this geezer, if there's anyone I want to be like, it's you. And then I think, 2 years later, you'd relapsed, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it shocked me.
I couldn't
That
believe
was
it.
painful using that one.
Yeah.
There was weren't a single high five. It was kind of low bottom. I had a van that I slept in it lasted for 15 months, I believe. And I slept in that van, 95% of it on my own. Where am I using ended up from the high fiving in smoky kitchens, dancing on speakers, pulling birds in Bagleys and Camden Palace, chewing a wasp, all that kind of stuff, thinking I was the man, to using in a Renault traffic behind the shops in the bins with a Stanley blade to my throat, smoking crack, ready to cut my own throat if someone tapped on the window. That was where my addiction ended. The day it ended was the 6th of December 2020.
Exactly 1 month after my clean date.
Yeah.
I always remember that.
And nothing changed. Nothing big happened. Nobody had texted me. My phone had stopped ringing.
I remember you waking
Missus
up
had
with
given
like,
up me.
ice on your face, you said to me.
I woke up with frost on my face again.
Yeah.
And I had to thaw out. And by this point, I've got a horrendous habit. I'm drinking more methadone than any human should drink. I'm smoking more gear than anyone should smoke. I'm not the worst addict out there. I'm not the best addict out there. I'd reached my limit of what I could take. I was dying.
I remember seeing you outside
dying.
a meeting, and you looked like you were dying. I
Felt
couldn't
like I was
believe it.
dying. I was waiting for it. People saying to me, when are you going to wake up tomorrow? I go, you know, when you just got to get to that point. Because in my head, I tried everything. I hadn't. That level of surrender that's needed to power through, that level of surrender that's needed to be maintained, and the consistency of it.
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's get into the recovery.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is where my passion today at. I love fellowship. I love any fellowship. I love recovery. I love talking about spiritual principles. I love talking about the steps. I love talking about sponsorship, unity. Let's get involved in. If you don't find the same type of passion, if I don't find the same type of passion for the fellowship that I adore, that I found out there using, I'm not going to stay.
No, we was just talking
I'm
about
a buzz-based person.
Mm.
That doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I need this to feed something.
There's a
in
big
me.
buzz available in these rooms.
Big buzz available. Big buzz available. So my life has took on new meaning, and it's not that it doesn't come without challenges. You know, I've had physical challenges, I've had financial challenges, I've had relationship challenges, I've had mental challenges, all that stuff. You know, life still happens, but today I can face it front on. You know, they say that courage isn't, what's that saying they say? I only heard it a little while. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's saddling up anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Getting on with it.
show up. I always say to people, show up. You've won half the battle. Whatever happens from that point on, it's in God's hands.
I can't actually remember when you bounced back in. Was that just see,
It was during COVID.
Tracy took you. I was on screen, was it?
It was during COVID. Yeah, it was right. It was the day of. So the day of, I actually went home on the 2nd of December.
Right.
Sorry, my clean day is the 6th of December, but I went home with a big bottle of this and a couple of pills of that. And she'd sent me a text a few days before, and I haven't got the capacity for forgiveness the same as my missus has.
No.
I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, mate.
Same.
Again, she pulled me back in. So you go in that room and you stay there until you're clean. Neck that, take them. I was in there for 4 days. On about the 3rd or 4th day, I heard my teenager say, "You might want to check him, Mum. He might be dead." And man, didn't come out of there. Didn't use the toilet. Didn't eat. Didn't drink. Didn't nothing. Just kind of clucked out what I needed to cluck out. I was very ill. I was really ill. I had some physical stuff going on at the time. And lo and behold, ego comes back within. So now, so that we're beginning of December, I've gone back home. She's let me in. Got to save Christmas. Got to save Christmas.
Yeah.
Least I can do for her. Got to save. I'm back to work within 15 days. I managed to save Christmas. I pulled in a little bit of money, bought some Christmas presents, paid the rent that month, and the story began. But what happened was, we was on Zoom. I used to love saying, "I got clean on the screen in quarantine." Little play on. I used to love it. I used to say it all the time. 3 meetings a day, talking to everyone I could talk to. My phone did not start ringing until I was 4 months clean. Nobody believed me.
Yeah.
We do not shoot our wounded in recovery, but we don't believe them either. You keep using. Trust.
But this is it. You can't blame people because they take you in. They're like, yes, they're filled with that hope, and then it's like you rip it out again. There's only so much of that you can do, right? But exactly like you said, we don't shoot our wounded.
You were in every meeting that I went to in lockdown.
Yeah, me too. Look,
Fucking
I
hell.
came out of treatment on the 6th of December. That was the day I left treatment, right? I went to the dry house in Southend. I remember I went to the Monday meeting, Clarence Road, and you were there. You didn't say anything. Might have said something, but you weren't the Greg I remembered from the early days. And I was like, he's back. He's back. And it was just like, we've been clean basically the same amount of time this time round. And it's like, I've got to watch your journey, you know what I mean? Always in the meetings, always doing service, always sharing honestly. And it's no surprise you're still clean.
Yeah.
It's no surprise. And mate, so glad to have you back. Because like Max said earlier, when I saw you, I was like, oh no. Really hurt me when I see you went out there. And I was in it as well. So I knew the pain you were in. You know what I mean? Took it to different levels, but it's the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thinking, it's the same pain.
And it's hard when you get someone with a bit of character that you get close to, and it can be anyone in recovery. You get close. When they leave, it hurts.
Oh, of course it hurts.
I've experienced it a number of times. It hurts. You have to let them go on their way. British Army ain't going to stop you, but it hurts. Because you know the pain they're about to experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what good they can. They're capable.
You
of,
know there's
and they're
nothing
throwing
out
that
there
away.
for them.
Yeah, there's nothing out there. So once you've reached a level of addiction, there's nothing out there for you.
What was suggested to you this time round then, man? What's your program look like for the people listening and have got a similar story to you and they want to get into a fellowship? And so what's your advice? How did you do it?
Show up.
Yeah.
Show up. Don't let the head win. It's something I say all the time. Don't get well too quick.
Yeah.
Don't get well too quick.
Yeah.
You watch the guys that get well too quick. I'm guilty of it myself. Wipe my arse, put a pair of new trainers on my feet, cut my hair, brush my teeth. I'm all right.
It's dangerous. Yeah.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Put a pound note in my pocket. Missus lets me back in. Got to be careful of that stuff. Yeah, it says it in that. It says it. Social acceptability does not equal recovery.
Yeah.
And I get that. So I believe from some of the experiences that I had, I believe that I'd never use again, no matter what. No matter how I treated you, no matter who I went with, female or male. You know what I mean? No matter what behaviours I displayed, no matter what I said, no, I won't use again. Before that relapse.
Yeah.
And I don't say that today.
Proved yourself
What
wrong.
I'll guarantee you is if I don't carry on doing what I'm doing within the realms of recovery, I'll use again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is exactly what we say. If we don't do these things, that is not off the table.
Nope.
No.
I do not. So I've been blessed with the gifts of recovery, and I do not obsess around using today. I have obsessive compulsive thinking. I'm an addict. You know what I mean? Like, I don't wake up going, oh, I wish I had a bit of gear. I don't go to a party wishing I was drinking with my missus. I don't experience when I'm in a pub with someone or at a meal and they're drinking wine. I wish I could do that because I know. I've got the information. I can fast forward the tape. I've been blessed where that part of me has been removed. What I'm left with is the part of Greg that, why did I use so much? What was Greg left with? What do you need to unpick to get well? And I say this to people all the time. Don't worry about what he's saying or what she's saying. What got you here? What scares you? What intimidates you? What frightens you? What kind of childhood experiences moulded you into the teenager you was going to be, and then in teenage experiences into your adult life, and then to the present? And as you know, in any fellowship that you attend, there's a beautiful set of steps that you can go through that's going to unpick you. But if you're at a starting point, if you're listening to this podcast for the first time and you're looking for some suggestions, it's 90 meetings in 90 days. You need to build a fellowship around you that you crave. You're not going to get on with everyone. Don't know about you. I didn't like everyone in the pub. Didn't like everyone in the crack den.
No, of course not.
Certain people I
That's
got on with,
life.
certain people I didn't. You might not mould with everyone. Find your people. Find the people you can open up with. Find the people you can trust. Find the people, some people on your level, but definitely people that are in front of you that you can take suggestions from.
Definitely.
And you can take your problems to. Service. It's
It's
never too early to start service.
No.
I love service. It's where unity is formed. It's where fellowship grows. It's where you get a chance to grow within society. You take what you learn within service and you take it out into the big wide world.
That's exactly what we were saying.
Start building businesses.
Taught
and
me everything.
families, everything. And there's a part of service designed to get you into every area. Take on Teammaker. You start talking to people. People will start remembering your name. If you take on Teammaker. Become secretary. You become visual within any recovery. Nearly jumped out a certain fellowship then. Take on treasury. Once you've got a couple of years clean, it'll start teaching you how to manage money and not dip into things and kind of keep things aside.
I've recently taken on that commitment.
Take on GSR. It teaches you challenging socially demanding environments when you've got to go to areas and you've got to start making decisions and vote on things and see the bigger picture of how this stuff mushrooms in societies. Beautiful experiences involved in every single part of service. And it's designed specifically for that, for us to grow.
Yeah, and it's like life lesson after life lesson after life lesson. I always say I was like a child when I come to the rooms, and it's taught me how to be an adult. I'm accountable. I'm punctual. I show up. We was just talking about it in the last episode. I'm financially responsible. I'm financially responsible enough to take on a treasury commitment at a meeting, and I'm responsible for paying the rent of that building, making sure the teas and coffees are paid for, the literature is paid for, the insurance is done for that building. And it's like, I don't put that money in my pocket and use that money. That money goes in the bank for a specific account. And it teaches me that financial responsibility, which I didn't have. And it's all them other aspects that you just spoke about. It's life lesson after life lesson after life lesson for me. And I'm turning into a grown-up because of it. Mad, isn't it?
Despite myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, we spoke like Chrissy, like it's all subconscious stuff as well. You don't go into team making thinking I'm going to be a better person coming out of this, or you don't go into treasury thinking I'm going to be a bit more honest. These are subtle things that have happened to me, and it's that restoration to sanity, back to sanity, isn't it?
It's like a byproduct.
That's that big stuff in step 2. Like you don't even know this stuff is happening, and then a couple of years later, why am I so kind, or have I got patience with a newcomer, and I can use that in that bridge to normal living in my life with my kids and my family and my work colleagues. That's the bit that I love. It's the subtle change that you don't see in yourself, that you might not see someone for 2 years and they bump into you in the street. I was a completely different person 2 years into my recovery. I really was. And we say about the little bonus on the top is you don't use drink and drugs anymore. Do you know what I mean, Greg? That's where it is for me.
It's a small part of it.
It can be missed. We can get so caught up with the trappings of life that what we actually came here for, we got instantly. I come here to stop using. I mean, it's a bonus that I'm honest. It's a bonus that my missus took me back. It's a bonus that I now have a £1 note in my pocket. It's a bonus that I drive legally. When I come here to stop using, so much more on offer.
Yeah, but it got promised to me as well. It got promised to me. And I didn't really believe it in the beginning. I'm like, really? read that book and answer a few questions. And that's going to, I'm like, yeah, all right, mate, I'll try. Like, the drugs beat me into a state of reasonableness where I had no other option.
Yeah.
And it was like, the only way you can see that it works is by doing it and working it. It's like a paradox, right? You don't understand until you've done it. And you won't do it unless you understand. It's like you have to, it's a mad process.
I think it leaves an addict in a really good position when these options are removed.
Of course.
Because,
Last house on the block.
If there's an easier, softer way, I'll try it until it hurts.
Mm.
And it goes in recovery as well. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't walk on water or anything like that. I make mistakes, but I'll keep doing it until it hurts. And I go, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Better share that with my sponsor. Better do a bit of work around that.
Perfect timing. What about your sponsor, Greg? 'Cause I know you got a real big sponsor. We've had him on the podcast already, and yeah, he's a fantastic guy. But I think let's talk about your relationship there just quickly, if we can.
My relationship with my sponsor, and for me, one of the biggest parts of my recovery, I've built a loving and trusting relationship with another man that I could go to with my secrets, what makes Greg tick, my fears, my worries, my successes, my step work, my prayer life, my meditation. First time ever so this was a few years ago now, I was in my first 90 days, and bless him, Darren himself was going through a loss in the family. So it's kind of, we couldn't have too much, and understandably, you know what I mean, he had a lot of life stuff happening in his life, and he was still making communications with me, he was still trying, and I adored that, and all through my using, he was answering the phone. I don't know if you've had any conversations with using addicts. Oh my God.
Yeah, it can be painful.
Including myself, I talk jargon. Yeah, you know, I think I know best. I've got the answers, all that kind of stuff. Painful, but he answered the phone, and he stayed on the phone for me for a long time. And I built this relationship with my sponsor, and for the first time ever of trying to figure out recovery in Greg's little head, is I said, how'd you pray? How'd you pray?
Yep.
How'd you meditate?
Yep.
What does this word mean?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I could sit down and do a really good step one with 1 week clean. And you'd hear it and go, oh God, that sounded really, yeah, and you'd praise me and you'd share it back to me and stuff like that. Didn't get it.
No.
Didn't get it. I didn't have the balls to ask you. I was too scared of what you guys thought of me.
Well, you've been around for 20 years. You should know.
Been around for 20 years. I should know.
There you go.
I should know.
That's what your head will tell you.
The thing is, I do know. I couldn't get the information right. I do know. I can parrot fashion it back to you.
Yeah.
I couldn't implement it into my life.
No,
what does
there's
a
a difference.
man look like? A man that acts surrendered.
Yeah.
Simple.
There's a difference, right, from knowing and getting it.
Don't listen to what I'm saying, watch what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, man, and I like what you said a little while ago, Chris, and I share it a lot. I share it with newcomers, I share it with people. I even share it in main shares when I do shares in different meetings. And it's a man with integrity. I was a man that had none.
Yeah.
And the way you explained integrity kind of sunk deep for a guy like me.
Yeah.
Is that when I was in a social environment, if my missus was talking to someone I worked with, my mum and one of my mates, petrified me.
Yeah.
Because
what are they
all of them
saying?
knew a different version of me.
Yeah.
I couldn't maintain the same Greg in every environment of my life.
Yeah, man.
Today, I would say I've got a ton more integrity.
Yeah.
Don't worry too much about what people are saying about me, because I tell Max the same thing as I tell Chris, as the same thing as I tell my missus, as the same thing I tell my sponsor, the same thing I tell my friend. I try not to blur the lines, because I can get excited very easily. I can get animated, and that's okay. It's okay to be happy and joyful and fun and playing a little bit of banter and stuff like that. But I've learned my limits, Greg. It's not healthy for you.
And how much freedom is there in that, having that bit of integrity?
So freedom isn't free.
Yeah.
You know, the freedoms that we experience today were fought and won through blood and tears for the men and women that went before us. And just as freedom isn't free in recovery, you've got to put your spiritual armor on. You've got to face some stuff.
Yeah.
You've got to dig deep. You've got to tap into that stuff that hurts. Me and Max was having a conversation the other day, going to some of that childhood stuff, going to feel it, whatever it might be, whether it be abandonment, whether it be trauma, whether it be abuse, whether it be fears, whether it be fancied or real. Doesn't matter. If it's in your head, it's in your head. Pain is pain. You're going to need to walk through some of that stuff to come out the other side. But what I can guarantee you from my experience, through walking through some of that, I'm turning into a better human being. I've seen a version of Greg that I don't need to tell you guys about, and I don't need to share it with the world, through the steps of recovery, through consistently praying, meditating, sharing my stuff, constant contact with my sponsor and my peer group within recovery, that I've seen a version of Greg that I like.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
one,
you
mate.
can sit with
And
yourself
every now
today.
and then I look in the mirror and go, doing all right.
And what's life like now? Because we're coming to the end, aren't we? Give the listeners just an idea of what your life is like now, if you can, man.
I felt that when you said that. And now I feel things today, and I can share that with you. What life's like today is I've learned how to express myself on an emotional and spiritual level, where I can say to you what's up with me and explain it. I used to have things up with me that I couldn't quite tell you because I didn't have the vocabulary to tell you.
Yeah.
And so today I can have them conversations with my partner, with people in recovery, my parents, with the guy at work. You know, sometimes that stranger on the street that all of a sudden gives you their life story and you've got that little golden nugget for them. Oh, well, why don't you try this, mate? You know what I mean? Like, life today has took on new meaning, and I've got my 17-year-old she's flourishing. We're so lucky she's turned into this beautiful human being where she just, you couldn't ask. I'm so lucky to have her in my life. She's absolutely fantastic. I love her. She kisses me goodnight.
Yeah.
You know, I encourage her to do anything she wants. I really feel like she's going to do really good in this world. And I have a 4 and an almost 5-year-old, and they're the highlight of my day. I can't wait to spend a bit of time with them, build a bit of Lego. They frustrate the hell out of me most of the time. But it's that beautiful frustration.
Yeah,
I love them. Can't wait for that hug. Can't wait for that I love you, Daddy. Can't wait for that next drawing, whatever it might be. I mean, that absolute enjoyment of fun, of being there and being present, not wanting to get away, not thinking about escaping, not, you know, I mean, all that kind of, just that beautiful experience. Me and my missus, we're getting married on the 26th of August this year in Ibiza.
Yeah, amazing.
Nice.
We're planning this dream wedding that we both want. We've never been stronger. We've uncovered a lot of the stuff that both of us found negative in our relationship, and we've been open and honest about it every now and then, because it's a long, you know, I've got to recover, and I'm in recovery, and I am recovering. So is my missus. She stood by me, and it's a slow process. Every now and then she'll feel comfortable enough, normally when she's had a glass of wine, and she'll tell me a little bit about myself. And I have to be spiritually fit to take that stuff on the chin. Because if I'm not, I'll bite back.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling really good about myself, I'm close to recovery, I'm attending my meetings, I'm turning up for my service, I'm answering the phone, I'm turning up to work, I'm not lying to people, I'm strong enough to take it. And I'll go, it's regrettable. I'm going to try my very best to never do that again.
Yeah.
I mean, keep the amends process going. Live the amends process. Live through the steps. Try and do as much written inventory as you can. Try and do as much meditation and prayer as you can. Attend as many meetings as you can. You want to get clean. I share this all the time. Get to loads of meetings.
Yeah.
You'll get clean. You will get clean. I promise you. You get to as many meetings as you can. You'll get clean. You want to stay clean. You want to get well. Start looking at the steps. Get a sponsor. Start looking at prayer life. Start asking people these questions. You want to integrate yourself into society. Start looking at service. Start looking at the traditions. There's the map is laid out for us. All the hard work's been done.
Yeah.
Simple program for complicated people.
Yeah, we'd like to complicate the shit out of it, don't we?
That's beautiful stuff.
So
mate.
much on offer.
Yeah. Brilliant. Greg, thanks so much for coming in, sharing your story, getting vulnerable. There's a lot in there. And yeah, congratulations on your clean time. Long may it continue, mate, because you're an asset to the fellowship.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, boys.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.